Hey there everyone, my name's Matt, and in this video we're going to do the Snorkel installation on a D22 Navara. This is the dual battery model, so let's unbox the thing and have a bit of a look. So this is the box that it arrived in. It was sent with TNT couriers, took about 2 days to get here. It's come from Von Bilbra Auto Garage, or Auto Village or whatever, obviously a Nissan dealer. Now this is one of the ones that was listed on eBay. That's the list price there. That's the price delivered that these things come at. Obviously these guys have bought a couple of hundred of them on run out from Nissan is my guess. So they're just flogging them off. They must have bought them real cheap. But don't mind the absolute pigsty that is my bungalow at the moment. But let's open the lid and have a bit of a look in the box. What we've got. So here's our fitting instructions. Okay, left hand side, just in case you weren't aware. These fitting instructions actually are pretty detailed. They've got pictures, step by steps to remove every screw and duct and nut and bolt. Areas to trim things up. There we go. So there's the picture of the assembly. You've got the intermediate tube, the air intake return tube, your air cleaner box. There's all your parts listing. And then these are your cutouts, or your templates. So that one's obviously for the quarter panel, and this one's for sort of the A-pillar. So that's that. Put that aside. Now, this little bag out first. As you can sort of see, that's the top piece, the actual ram intake piece with its little hose clamp. That's that. What else is in there? So here's the old intermediate tube that they were just talking about, with a gasket on it. The other end's just open. Set that down there as well. Now, this looks like the last bag in there. I'll set this one on the ground. This is obviously the main visible part of the snorkel, with the little lip on there, and that bit obviously bolts on somewhere to your pillar, I'm guessing. Flip it over. It's got a rubber sort of gasket on there. Lots of little threads there and a nut. All the screws and nuts and bolts are in there, and there's the actual port that goes in through the guard. So this is going to be interesting. It does involve cutting or hole sawing holes through the quarter panel. Quite a bit of mucking around in the engine bay, pulling the battery out and so forth, but from what I understand with the Nissan, the genuine Nissan ones, you don't have to relocate the indicator, you just have to relocate the wiring, so that's one good thing, but we'll tackle that when we get there. So along with the instructions, there are 2 templates that they give you with this. This is obviously the front left quarter template. So we've got the indicator mark. This is obviously the edge of the guard where it meets the door. On the top here, there's a little bit that has to be cut and joined to allow for the fact that the guard's not perfectly flat, so the page will sort of warp slightly. And then we've got 6 holes that need to be drilled out to 11mm, and one obviously that's got to be drilled out to 90mm. Now it suggests to do a 3.5mm pilot hole in the middle of each of them, and a lot of people say once you mark this, Make sure you tape put some masking tape or some duct tape over the guard on the inside of the on the outside of the quarter panel, just to make sure that you don't tear the paint as you cut through the guard. So the other one over here is for the inside of your inside face of your door, or your door seal, like where your door meets the body of the car. There's a section that you have to cut out of the actual seal itself, just to allow for the bracket that holds the top of the snorkel in place to come through. You do actually have to drill into that top windscreen pillar as well in 2 spots, and then put some little self-securing screws through it. So those are your 2 templates. Obviously the instruction book it'd be nice if it was in colour, but has pictures of everything. They're actually fairly detailed instructions too. Step-by-step stuff, plenty of pictures. There's the finished product, I suppose. Okay, so here's the vehicle we're going to be installing it to. This is a 2010 STR. Obviously this is the dual battery model. This snorkel kit's made for both, but in this case obviously dual battery. So what we're going to start by doing is jacking the ute up. We're going to take this front passenger side wheel off so that we can take out this plastic shroud in here. That's going to give us room to work underneath. Then we're going to take out this second battery, so under the terminals. We're going to tape that terminal up because it's potentially still live. Take this battery out. I'm going to take this air box and that plastic intake pipe out, which is easiest done once this battery's out of the way. We're basically going to use that intake pipe where it comes through just there, and then the snorkel has an intermediate pipe that runs down this inside of the guard to where the external body of the snorkel will run up here. So make a start on that, get this battery and airbox and stuff out of the way, and have another look. Right, so we're just underneath. This ute's jacked up a couple inches already, so as you can see I've had to do the old block of wood on the jack, but got a couple of jack stands. There's one over there as well. These look like pretty epoxy jack stands, but they are rated to 1200 kilo. So considering that we're only sort of at the most going to be supporting probably half the weight of this ute, it is probably more than 2 tonne this ute, but these jack stands should be, well, having 2 of them, we should be well and truly safe. Always safety first, guys, so always use some jack stands. Don't rely on your jack to hold the car up. Alright, so we're getting reasonably close to the point of no return with this. We've got the battery out, obviously. The air box removed, and we've removed the plastic intake pipe. Just a note, there's a bolt at the back of the airbox here that was a bit of a bastard to get out, and also the 2 clips that go through that hole there, and the one up there were a bit of a mongrel to get out too. That's alright. So we've got this shroud undone to give us a bit of room up in there. Now we had to take the indicator off, undo the lead, run the lead back through the inside of the guard. That's it there. And we had to run it along and through a hole just down the back there and pop it back out here, so that wasn't too bad. So now we have, just going here past all the rubbish. This is the intake pipe that was on the inside of the guard before. That's where the little black plastic clips were. So we've drilled them out to 13mm as per the instruction, and we've stuck this foam gasket that was supplied on the inside there. So that's going to go back into its original position up against the body of the inner guard, and that foam gasket is what gives it the seal to the body. So now what we're doing is cutting out the template. There's a little bit at the top here that has to be joined to give it the bend to follow the guard. Then we're going to stick that on, and then she's point of no return at that. Cut the holes and see what happens. Right, so that was the most nerve-wracking part of the whole ordeal so far. That's the temp blade on, masked up, and I've just taken a pin punch and a hammer and punched the centers of each of these holes. I've also just cut a little slit into the four edges of this and just tapped it with just a permanent marker, just so that when I'm drilling it I can tell, where the edges are meant to be. So now we'll take the guard off, the template off, and have a bit of a look. So there's the holes drilled and done. Wasn't so bad. That one can't really clean it actually, considering. So now it just looks a bit munted. To clean the holes up, it's got a couple of chainsaw files, so flat file and a round file. Just gave the insides a bit of a rub. There's a few burrs that were on there, so tidied them up. Now I'll move on to the next step. So we've just secured this top bracket here. You do have to take this door rubber here off and trim a little section out of the inside of the steel. I didn't actually use, there is a template, but I didn't actually use it. I just put the snorkel body on, wind it up, cut the inside out. It's actually a little bit tighter than what the factory fit probably is, and screwed it down. Now word for the wise, make sure you drill the holes under there the right size, because I didn't. I went 3mm instead of 3.5 and I snapped one off in the hole and had to drill it out. So make sure you do 3.5mm holes, not 3mm holes, because they're pretty crappy sort of screws. So I've had to replace one of them with a different screw. So, but it's on there, it's nice and firm and stable, so should be right. So the day is now nearing a close. It took me a little while, but as you can see, the body of the snorkel is fitted. Thank Christ. Now, a couple of issues. The holes where that stud and the other one go, I had to get a dremel onto. It won't focus, but I had to ream the fuck out of them in order to get the intermediate tube to go back far enough to let this sit properly. I kept trying to push the whole thing forwards, move it ahead of where the actual holes for the threads were to go through, so that was a shit. That's not done up yet, but it'll just tighten up nicely. Someone said early in the piece that to get all these nuts on, you need very small hands, and there's one in particular way up the top there. I've got fairly small hands for a mechanic, but I struggled. That was a real struggle. And getting them all, I had to actually put the nuts on, tighten them up, then take it off, put a washer on, tighten it up, take it off, then put the lock washer on, tighten it up, just to get enough clearance to actually, get them all to fit up properly. But they're on there. That's the main thing. So, what's next? We put the intermediate tube back in there. We bolt the airbox back up, and then we put the battery back in. And with all this mess, we should be about nearly done. So we are pretty much all back together. Battery's back in, airbox is back in, intake pipe is back in, and I don't know if you can see it. It's all done up anyway. It's a bit hard to see. Just got to chuck a couple of cable ties on a few things there and we're done. Just thought before I finish putting the shroud back on, show you up underneath. There's the indicator there. Some of the bolts holding the outside on, or the nuts I should say. Now, this morning, because it's obviously the next day now, I got under here with a socket wrench and really cranked that hose clamp up just to make sure it's really nice and watertight. Goes forward to the front. There's a seal under there. That's not going to focus again. So that's all nicely sealed. just going to go through and put all these little screws back in to hold this shroud back up. This is also a good time to just have a look and check your brake pads, see how they're doing. Check out everything else underneath, make sure all your ball joints and everything are alright. It's a good time just to check things out, wet wheels off. So besides a couple of cable ties, everything up top here is done. So I'll just finish it off, put it back together, and then we'll start her up. So there you have it, ladies and gents. A Nissan factory Snorkel kit. Install on a 2010 or any dual battery model D22 Navara. We are up and running, and I can feel it's drawing a pretty substantial amount of air in at the top here. You can hear it a little bit too. So, I'm going to take it for a drive and see if I can hear the turbo any better than I could before. Okay, just further to that last comment about any increase in turbo spool noise. I had to wait till the engine was up to sort of full running temp to notice it, but there's definitely a little bit more of the high pitch sound that's audible, and I can certainly notice a bit more of the spool down as the turbo comes off when you let your throttle off to change gear. So there's definitely a little bit more in that. But hey, if nothing else, we've got the air intake right up out of harm's way. I think we've sealed the system pretty well, so you know, going through some deep puddles or a bit of a creek crossing wouldn't be a problem now. So, well, I hope. So touch wood, that's the end of this video. Once again, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. I'm going to try and do a couple more videos like this every time I do something to the ute, so catch you all on the flip side.